Big Heart Adventures, where the harvest is the hunt, and the hunt is all we want. Come join Big Heart Adventures, 'cause there's a world outside the door that we might as well explore. So let's go on Big Heart Adventures, where the harvest is the hunt, and the hunt is all we want. Welcome to another episode of Big Heart Adventures. I'm Mike Croston, just getting back from the big sky, sitting in the shack, and we're going to talk about a bear hunt for the ages. So, last time we talked, we were talking a little bit about the details and all the things, the good things about H.A.R.T and where H.A.R.T could take us, and we decided to go bear hunting in Montana. Now, for beginning hunters, beginning H.A.R.T hunters, you've got your hunter's education underneath your belt, and you've learned the weapon and shot a little bit, whether it be with a bow or a rifle, and you know your weapon and you're ready to go hunting. Well, a do-it-yourself trip to go bear hunting in Montana probably isn't where you start. You know, you're probably going to start at some landowner's place that can tell you where to sit, and you sit there, or maybe you're going to start at a high fence and learn the ropes there, or maybe go with an outfitter, somebody that can show you a few tricks and knows where the game's at. But in this kind of hunt, the do-it-yourself, start to finish, out in the wilds, it's exciting, but it's a little more advanced. But decided to do this right off the bat as one of our first hunts after our test phase of the Florida hunts at the high fence, and some hunts at the farm and some preserve hunts. This winter, we decided to go right after it and to see if this H.A.R.T thing is going to work kind of out in the public land sector, out in the do-it-yourself world, the on-your-own world. So we decided to go start to finish into the unknown. Now, I've lived in Montana for 20 years, so I have a little bit of an advantage, but what I did was decided to hunt places that I've never been before and knew nothing about. So we decided I'd go down to southwest Montana, down that area, and then somewhere around central Montana. Now, you notice I'm never going to tell you exactly where I'm at, because it's the whole fun of it. Start to the finish, planning it out, learning everything about the areas and the game you're hunting. And so that's what I did. Started with just the general idea that I want to hunt bears in Montana. Now, why Montana? There's plenty of good bear hunting in Idaho. There's plenty of good bear hunting in Canada. Canada's shut off right now. Idaho, probably would have had to go with an outfitter, because I don't know it that well. There's bait, there's dogs that you can do there. And there's tremendous bear hunting in Arizona, New Mexico, Wyoming. So I chose Montana just because I wanted to hunt with a few guys that I hadn't seen in a while. One of my buddies down in southwest Montana, Gray, and then my brother-in-law in central Montana, the legend David Tilley. And that was the most fun. Those two guys are a real hoot and fun guys to be around. So that's and again, that's part of the hunt too, being with people you like. So start to finish, just kind of the wintertime, kind of researched about those areas, what kind of the bear density was, what the opportunity was, and kind of went from there. Really didn't have a solid plan. Knew the mountain ranges we wanted to be in, and that was it. So got the gear I needed, got everything packed, and headed out. Let me tell you, the whole entire hunt was the extremes. We had getting there at 25 degrees in a blizzard all the way to, when we left, it was 95 degrees and the sun was scorching. But we'll get into all that. So took off. I knew Gray had some time off before he starts his spring season as a fishing guide, so I wanted to catch up with him then. So I headed straight for the Southwest Montana, and I had a 3-horse trailer with living quarters, so that kind of made it nice. We had some heat and a little space for our gear. So we took off. I met him. Actually brought him a horse from southern Missouri all the way out there, and we met up and decided to take off. And Gray kind of knows this area, but he has never harvested a bear in this area, and he's really, it's an amazing area for scenery, topography, wildlife. So he was on a full harvest hunt, and I was on the heart hunt, and I presented him with the heart hunt. He knew nothing about it, and it was interesting to see the progression as the hunt went on what he thought about it, how he thought it would fit in. And, it didn't change his mind about him full harvesting a bear, because that's what he wanted to do. But he could see the merits of it, and which was fun to see. So we got there, and the first day was just a whiteout, blizzard, cold. We were both thankful we weren't tenting it. We kind of got to know the lay of the land the first day, and we knew we kind of had to look for sign and get on some good sign and get into a good area. So we put on the miles, and let me tell you, Gray's a beast. He's in great shape, and that's one key thing when you go on any hunt, is to kind of recognize what kind of shape you need to be in, because we've all got different jobs and different things we do. And even if you're in pretty good shape, let's say you work construction or you work outside, like me, I'm a farmer/rancher. So I'm always moving. I feel like I'm in great shape, but you're never really in that 2,000 foot elevation change, hiking all day shape. So it's important to be in better shape than you think you need to be. And that'll kind of ensure you that you're halfway there maybe when you get there. So anyways, Gray took me up the mountains, and we hiked and we hiked and we hiked, and we found some sign, and it was cold and snowy, and it just felt like the bears were maybe not moving as much as they could move and should be moving. Green grass patches is kind of what we're looking for, and they were hard to find. And then when we did find them, we were finding elk and moose, and we weren't finding any bear sign, and we really put on the miles. And I was wearing a pair of boots that I thought I had them broke in good, and they were Irish setter elk trackers, and I've worn them for many, many years and never had a problem with them. But by day 4, following Gray up and down, those boots kind of broke down on me, and that's an issue when you're on these hunts, and say you're on a 7 to 10 day hunt, and day 4, you're feeling some issues with your feet. You're going to be dead in the water if your feet don't work. So after day 4, Gray had to go work, and the legend David Telley was moving, so I needed to go help him move anyway. So I headed up to north central Montana, and on the way I was able to find a different pair of boots, and they weren't broken, which I was a little worried about, but I kind of figured I could ease into them. So the moral of this story is the boots are key. Your feet are key on these hunts. If you're going to skimp on anything, let's not skimp on the boots, because if you can't really walk, you're just sitting in camp, which isn't a bad thing either. It's fun in camp, but you're not going to see much. So after 4 days down there, it was tough hunting. We couldn't really dial it in, but man, we were seeing moose and elk and deer and antelope and fox and coyotes and tracks of all kind, grizzly bear tracks, black bear tracks, wolf tracks, but we could not dial in. Well, we couldn't dial in on the wind, first of all. It was always wrong. It was always blowing at our back, no matter where we were turning. And then secondly, they just didn't feel like they were moving enough. So I decided, Gray went back to work. I decided to go up central Montana. I helped my brother-in-law move for a few days. And man, the weather turned even worse. 25 degrees. I mean, we're talking mid-May here. 25 degrees, just 18 inches of snow. We didn't really know how we were going to get this done, but hey, we had something to do anyways. And this is all part of hunting. You plan and you plan with your buddy, and then your buddy needs some help doing something because life gets in the way, and you give him a hand, and you're still excited about the hunt, and you want to get this done, and that's just the way it goes. Everybody's got stuff to do. Gray's got to go back to work, right? And so you do it. You hunt around life, and the beautiful thing about H.A.R.T is it takes a little bit of the pressure off, because we know, we're going to have a good time no matter what we do out there. And that's what it's all about, the hunt. And we know we're going to get out there. So you help a fella out, and so he can be able to hunt with no worries. And that's what we did. And all the while we're thinking where we want to go. We kind of knew where we wanted to go, but the weather was going to really sock us in with snow. And so I was thinking about going back up to northwest Montana where we had been. But, our motto is kind of, we only do things once, and we want to kind of keep it that way because there's so much out there. There's so many beautiful places in America to hunt. There's so many acres out there. It's one of the greatest things about this country is the public land, the private land that you can hunt through outfitters and leases or whatever, but it's still out there. And the public land, I'm telling you, there's so much out there you hate to do it twice. So we kind of got the motto, we're only going to do things once, and so we weren't going to go back to northwest Montana. We wanted to go to this mountain range that we had kind of our heart set on. So CB Brown and he finally got there, flew into Bozeman on day 6, and picked him up, and then we went scouting. We kind of knew the mountain range, but we had no idea where we were going to camp. We had no idea where these bears are, right? This is the whole process of hunting. And of course, Onyx Maps makes it a little bit easier. It gives you a bunch of information on, the districts, the topography, and you've got the aerial view, and you can kind of see the open areas where there might be some grassy areas, and you can see the water. So we got that, and they showed us the campgrounds and the public access, which is very limited in where we were. There's a lot of private ground that surround this. So we did a recon mission, and all we wanted to do was make sure we could get the campers in there, not get stuck with the snow. And so we went into all these little campgrounds and kind of scoped them out, walked up a little bit, saw what we wanted to see as far as if there was grassy areas open areas where we could hunt and spot. And then we kind of made our decision on one campground. And in the interim, on the way back around, we did run into a bear on the side of the road, which I'm telling you, it kind of happens that way on these back roads that are way, way back in there. These, they're just dirt 2-tracks sometimes that don't get traveled very often, and we saw a bear. Now, if we were ready, we could have got some heart footage there, or if we were full harvest, you could have shut her down, got your stuff out, walked 100 yards or whatever, and would have been able to get this bear. But no, we just decided to film him and know that we were in kind of the right spot. He was quite a ways from where we were planning on hunting, but we knew there must be bears in here if he was on this side. So we went back and we got Telly and we got all packed up, and he had 2 more days he couldn't be with us, so we went out early, and we decided what we were going to do is put in some miles and find some sign. We got up to the top of the mountain, got set up, got to the top of the mountain, and we're looking around and we're thinking, all right, which way to go? And all of a sudden thick fog sets in, and it's over. We can't see 2 feet in front of us, and it's starting to get dark, and we knew that wasn't probably the area. Couldn't really find any open spots. Really had a tough time finding any bear sign that day. So we came back, got the camp a little bit better set up, and looked at the onX and decided to make a pretty good jaunt the next day. I think that day we put 12 to 14 miles in, but we went pretty far back. It was up and down, up and down, up and down, but we found the spot with the freshest bear sign and a lot of it. And we also found quite a few elk that were back in there too. So we knew it was a good spot and kind of butted up to some private ground. So Telly was coming that next day, so we were real excited about it. So he gets there and we get him set up and we go out. And the wind was all wrong, so we stayed out of that area because we didn't have a plan put together for the way the wind was blowing. So decided to kind of just explore a different area that was a little further north. And there were some sign and looked like real good country, but at the end of the day, we didn't see anything. So we go back to camp, and this is this is what I love about the hunt. You're adapting and you're learning the area, and you're seeing. I mean, the scenery is just amazing. And so we get back and we make a plan, and I says, the wind's going to be blowing the same. So what we have to do is we've got to go like 4 drainages over and stay way up north, 4 drainages over, and then cut back down south and then come back to the west, okay? So we're going north, a little bit east, back around south, making kind of a little hook to get us in behind this wind. It was a jaunt. We left a little early. We knew it was going to be a far hike, and it was going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. We were going to have to take some breaks, and so we didn't get too sweated up because in the evenings, it was dropping to freezing again, and you don't want to be sopping wet when the sun goes down. So, and we were planning on staying because that's kind of when the bears come out. So we made the plan, and we felt pretty good about it, and we just had to get there, So as we come up around, and we're looking for this one area that we know we can glass this whole drainage, we'd see these big bull elk not like 40, 50 yards away from us. And so we start filming the bull elk, and we're glassing around. There's mule deer all over, and there's bull elk down in the bottom. And all of a sudden, Jelly says, "Bear." And we look over, and there he is. I mean, just like we had planned it, like right there where we knew he was going to be eventually. And there he was. And of course, the excitement and the adrenaline's rocking and rolling because it's hunting, and the plan came together, and you're excited. And I was further back up on the hill. And so Telly knew right away it was his shot. Nice big boar, probably 350 pounds. And let me tell you, Telly's a shot now. I've seen him make some amazing shots. And so I wasn't worried about him making this one. Maybe 180, 200-yard shot. It was close. And he's shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor, and he's got it dialed in. And boom. And it sounded solid. I gotta admit, I thought it sounded real good. But that bear never really made a flinch. I'm watching with the binoculars, and he just kind of whirled and run up the hill a little ways. And then he stopped and looked back. And then I knew, I probably didn't get him with that shot. And so he's trying to get in position, and CB's on the camera. And I think, well, he's got him now. I mean, it's only probably another 10 yards further. And boom. And it sounded real good, that one. But the bear just moseyed. Yeah, he didn't even run. And I'm like, I think he missed. But we were pretty excited. We're going to go look for any sign. And so we get over there. And like I say, it wasn't very far away. And we get over there. We look around, and I turn to CB. I says, let's see the footage. I said, I don't think he got him. And we were able to look at the footage. And that was kind of nice having these cameras to where you can look at the footage. We didn't find any blood or anything. And we looked at the footage, and sure enough, you could see he missed the first shot, and we found the bullet hole in the dirt. And the second shot, you could see the bullet and where it hit, like a foot in front of the bear. So it was good that it was all clean misses. I felt bad for Telly because he never misses. But at the same time, I was like, it was kind of a heart deal, a a heart hunt that was supposed to be full harvest, and it because we got all the excitement out of it, we got all the enjoyment out of it, and then at the end we were able to hike out of there and get back to camp and talk about it and eat supper and really the feelings were the same. So he missed, he's kind of disappointed, but at the end of the hike out of there, he was kind of relieved because we were way back in there, and we're talking, I estimate we would have been 2 trips on the deal. We'd have been well into sunrise the next morning doing that, which sometimes that's all the fun of it. But we still had a lot of hunting time, a lot of hunting days left, and we didn't want to really wreck ourselves or wreck the hunt. And we kind of talked about that too, that we still got like seven or so days to hunt, and we'd had to kind of take 2 days to get this all taken care of and whatnot. And at the end of the day, we were all kind of maybe worked out for the best. But the hunt was amazing. When it all comes together like you plan it, I think that's the best part. So anyways, we go back out, and we know probably not going to be able to find them in that area the next day. So we kind of explored one drainage closer than that one, and it was real good too. We get out there, still kind of a pretty good hike, but we get out there, and it just starts pouring rain on us, and then socks in with that fog again, where we couldn't see anything. I mean, no more than 5 minutes after we get to where we want to start glassing. So we couldn't see anything, so we decided to hoof it back in the rain and call it and get dried out. And so we spent the next morning getting dried out. And I tell you what, it's pretty nice when the sun finally shines, and we got to get dried out, and we're gonna have a day where the sun was shining, and the wind was gonna be in our favor, and the temperature was gonna be in the 50s and 60s, pretty comfortable for hunting. So decided to go out to that same drainage that Telly missed that bear in, but we're going to go on the other side this time, where we can't see as much, but the wind was going to be in our favor, and we wouldn't have to make that big hike. So we sit down, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to hard any bear. We were way too high up on the mountain, and the clearing was kind of, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards away. And I just felt like, that drainage we were in yesterday, I really wanted to explore that, but I also wanted Telly and CB to kind of man this drainage because we knew that bear was in there. And so I says, I'm going to take off into the drainage by myself. I'm going to slow hunt it, move real slow with the wind in my face. And so I took the GoPro, and I've got the Tacticam. I'm going to go do this and try to see. We didn't see any sign over there, but boy, it looked good. It just really looked like a good spot. So I took up off over the hill and dropped down in and moved real slow, probably about 4 o'clock. And I knew where I wanted to be by 5:30, 6 o'clock. And it wasn't that far, but I was going to move slow. And I was moving by mule deer that would bed it down, and they were catching glimpses of me, but I'd moved slow enough that they weren't too worried about me. And that was kind of key, I think, in what was about to happen next, is not spooking anything down in the drainage there, down that coulee. So I get kind of where I wanted to be, and maybe even past it, and kind of thinking, well, maybe there isn't anything in here. And then I see something. It's black. Looks like it's got ears. But you know what it was? There's one of them stump bears. And we've all seen them, stump elk and stump deer, but this was a stump bear. And I had to look 3 or 4 times through the binoculars because, man, it looked like a bear just laying down. Finally, it was kind of a realization that it was just a stump or a log or whatever it was. And I kind of chuckled to myself. And as I'm chuckling, I look to my left, and there's a real bear. And a nice bear, and probably about 125, 130 yards away. And I got down behind a bush, and I instantly, I'm hearting this thing, right? instantly my heart's pounding. I got to kind of get myself together because, I mean, anytime you see a bear in the wild that you've been hunting that you don't really know is there or whatever, or how big it is or what color it is, and there it is. I mean, just all of a sudden, this is the way these bears were the whole entire trip. Boom, they'd be there, then they'd be gone. It wasn't like we could film them like National Geographic for 20, 30 minutes up to an hour. I mean, a minute and a half maybe. So I knew I didn't have much time. So I made sure my camera was on, turned the Tacticam camera on, and got on the bear, and then kind of focused up. You know, my scope was a little out of focus with the Tacticam. So these are some issues you've got to do. It's not like you can just pull up and snap shoot these things. So it's not the easiest thing to heart these animals, because if it's not completely right, you're not gonna get it on film. So it takes a little more time than just getting down, putting the crosshairs on, and taking the safety off, pulling the trigger. You really have to make sure you take your time, make sure you turn the camera on, make sure everything's in focus, and make sure that bear, you can see it. So, or whatever animal you're hearting. But in this case, I got everything right. Didn't have a good rest, so there was kind of an offhand deal, and you can see in the video it's kind of shaky. But at the end of the day, I made a good heart on that bear. And when I hearted it, to find out it was a sow with not one cub, not two cubs, but 3 cubs. Hey, it was a heart. The bear never moved. I hunted it. I got within range. It was a successful hunt in my book. The beautiful bear, she never moved. The cubs were running around. They went up a tree, jumped out of the tree, and then mom and her 3 babies kind of meandered up the hill. And I'm telling you, the hunt was good. It was a good harvest, and I got to watch the backside of that, which you never do. You know, and had that been a full harvest scenario and me not seeing those cubs in the brush, could have turned out a different scenario, maybe not as good. And that's another thing, guys, really got to, I mean, if you're full harvesting, you really have to pay attention and take your time and make sure there's no cubs around, and make sure it's not a sow with cubs. But in the heart scenario, I mean, it didn't matter. That was an animal that I had hunted during bear season, and she's still alive with the 3 cubs, by the way. So 2 black and 1 cinnamon. So we know there's going to be a kind of a cinnamon bear running around there someday. It was a good looking little cub. So, but the footage was good. The hunt was good. I went back and met Telly and CB on the road, heading back to camp, and they couldn't believe it. They said, well, they didn't even hear the shot. You know, these blanks, you know, they're half power, quarter power. It's just enough to get the noise into your ears, just enough to get that noise on the video and the flash on the video to make it look good, plus tell you when that trigger was pulled and your crosshairs where they were. So, I mean, all in all, it was a perfect scenario. I made an awesome stalk, had a great time, and that's what it was all about. So we went back, we talked about it. CB was mad because he didn't get to put the camera on and get the footage, but that's how it goes. And, you know, it's hard. It's you get 3 guys trying to stalk through the woods after an animal that's got amazing sense of smell and amazing hearing. And I tell you, I think it made all the difference just me being alone that day to make that stalk. By yourself or with the guys, it's all really good when you're hearting. So we go back to camp, and we just we know we've had a successful hunt so far. We've got 1 miss, but we made the hunt. We've got 1 heart under our belt, and we've got a bear we saw that we know we could have full harvested or hearted on the first day of scouting. So, you know, 3 bears on this trip to this one mountain range in central Montana. So we decided we're going to still hunt 2 or 3 more days, but I think at that point we were all pretty satisfied, and so the hunts kind of became big hikes to where we could see more country, to where we could get more familiar with that area, in case we ever did want to come back, which probably not, you know what I mean? We're kind of do this once. But if we wanted to come back, or Telly wants to go back. So we hiked around, saw a little more sign, and decided on the last day we'd go try one more time, and at the spot where he missed the bear. And I mean, the sign was thick. He was around, but with these bears, you gotta be lucky and good at the same time, because they're always on the move. It's big country, and you can only glass so much. You know, he might just be up over the hill and the coulee behind you. But at the end of the day, we walked out of there, and we knew we probably weren't gonna. You know, we had one more day, but we knew we were just gonna relax and have some fun. And so we kind of planned on, just having a little celebration of the hunt. And that's the best part about it. These hunting scenarios, when you plan them with people you enjoy hunting with, that becomes what's the most important thing, is the camaraderie. So we got great footage of the hunt. We saw a lot of bears. We were able to heart one. Again, we missed one, but I call it a inadvertent heart. We met with some locals the next day at the local watering hole, and we began explaining what we were doing, and it was pretty amazing, the response that we got from it, from the private landowners that were kind of at the base of the mountain, that were really, those were access points that aren't available right now. But they were so open to the heart system that it really kind of embraced everything they thought about their land and the wildlife that were on their land, and where they didn't mind people enjoying that. They just didn't want them harvesting them on their property. You know, they didn't care what goes on behind them in the public land, and they know that that's all part of the management of the resource, and so they don't get too overpopulated and start creating problems for ranchers and landowners. But they also, a lot of them just don't want the animals harvested on their land. They enjoy them, but they had no problem, and they really enjoyed the idea of a heart hunt. And so we made some great contacts there and got some great ideas. And we got some, some cons also from other hunters, and, that voiced their concern about, it wasn't about the whole process of heart. It was about that it was going to draw more people, that more people were going to come in. And, it's public land. There's already people coming in. I mean, the last few days, and kind of the reason why we really did cut it short was it was Memorial Day weekend, and the UTV riders, the ATV riders were coming in, and they were going to enjoy the public land the way they like to enjoy it. And so it got, kind of busy and whatnot. But we decided we were going to hike in one more day as these folks were riding around, to see if it really bothered the animals any. And what we found out is it didn't. The bear was still there, the elk were still there, the deer were still there. When we got far enough back, there was no sign of any ATV riding activity. So multiple use of the public land, it can be done, and it is being done, and it was fun. I mean, we were hunting, they were interested in what we were doing, and we were interested in what they were doing. There were some people that were looking for rocks, and they were rock hound people, and just traveling around their UTV ATVs, and other people would go out in the morning and then not go back out at all, or go out in the evenings. And it wasn't like people were burning up the dirt roads the entire day. So it was really fun. It was a great area. The people were great, and again, we got some really good input on heart. We got some really good footage out there, and the hunts were good. Okay, so when we come back from our Song from the Heart, which this week is going to be the Ballad of David Telly, because, the legend was on our hunting trip, and I wrote this song, 5-6 years ago. I didn't really know who I was writing it about. at the time, but it kind of fits this guy. And so it's the Ballad of David Tilley by me, Mike Croston. Hope you enjoy it. And when we come back, we are going to talk to the man, the myth, the legend himself, David Tilley. They say the West is big and wild. Well, I am the wild. There's a trail across the Great Divide that'll take you to the other side. It's a place where two wilds collide, away out west. On the prairie where I call home, in the mountains where I tend to roam. There's death behind every stone, way out west. But I can't ride these horses with the best. And like Chris Ledoux, I'm tougher than the rest. And every day I put my courage to the test, carrying a rifle in my scabbard and bullets across my chest, way out west. There ain't a challenge that I cannot beat, ain't a man I've met that I can't beat. And I'm the one you all want to be, way out west. Cause I'm a half a stick of dynamite, get whiskey bent and shoot out the lights. I don't want trouble, ain't scared to fight, way out west. But I can't ride these horses with the best. And like Chris Ledoux, I'm tougher than the rest. And every day I put my courage to the test, carrying a rifle in my scabbard and bullets across my chest, way out west. Now I fast slid down a mountainside with the horses that were tied to mine, but I beat the devil and I stayed alive, way out west. Now I'm too damn crazy, some folks say, but for me it's just another day. So if you don't want hurt, stay out of the way out west. But I can ride these horses with the best. And like Chris Ledoux, I'm tougher than the rest. And every day I put my courage to the test, carrying a rifle in my scabbard and bullets across my chest, way out west. Way out west. And there's a trail across the Great Divide that'll take you to the other side. It's a place where two wilds collide, way out west. And that's the way out west. The Ballad of David Tilley. And on the line, we have the legend himself, David Tilley. Dave, what's happening, bud?
Oh, not much. Just trying to figure out what's going on with the water pump.
Water pump. Story of our lives.
Right. Work. Play a little bit, but work harder.
There you go. Hey, we had an awesome hunt in central Montana. We're not telling anybody where we were at. We were in central Montana, and that's all I need to know. And, we call him the legend because he's done what a lot of people out here want to do. Growing up dreaming about hunting, and he's done it all. And a lot of it do it yourself. So, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about your hunting past and what drives you to hunt, and just talk. How about that?
All right. Well, I started hunting, honestly, before I could walk. So I think that's where it all started. My dad always took me out every year during deer season, and hunting camp was always a big family thing. And I've got a passion for it, and I just continued on with that, and kind of stepped up the game a little bit from when I grew up and where I grew up, and it's really been my center, I guess, if you would want to say.
And a lot of it's been public land.
Never paid an outfitter yet. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but
No, but money's hard to come by sometimes, and if you're after the hunt, you can put in a little legwork and make it happen. So,
absolutely.
Well, cool. What'd you think about this bear hunt mid-May with all the extremes we went through?
Oh, I can't get this hunt out of my head. It's one of those hunts that are going to live with you for the rest of your life. Big first experience for me, and getting in with the bears, and we did some hunts before that were felt hairy, but we never connected like we did on this one, and it was just
it was pretty good to make a plan and have it come together, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, you couldn't ask for a more perfect hunt than the way this one went down, and I'm just thankful for.
So what? Tell us all what happened on the shot, because we know from the past you've been pretty dead-eye dick on stuff. But
I'm usually pretty certain of my shots, and we were sitting on the side of this hill and kind of glass, and we were watching 5 bull elk down below us, and it was right where Mike, he's like, hey, this is where it's gonna happen. And I mean, it looked great, everything looked great, and then all of a sudden bear stepped out, and it was like, oh, there's a bear right there, and scrambling, trying to grab the gun, and he was still moving, so he never stopped, and I tried to get the crosshairs on him, and thought I had it, and I torched it off, and he ran. I mean, the shot sounded good. It sounded like a solid hit, and I watch him running through the trees, and he stops, and I'm scrambling, trying to get the rangefinder out and range him real quick, and I'm shaking so dang bad. I'd never been that nervous. I hadn't been that nervous since I first pulled the trigger on a deer when I was 12. So
yeah, he was pretty excited.
Yeah, in that second shot, I thought I was on him, and I squeezed the trigger, and again, it sounded good, but I was shaking so hard, who knows where the hell I was really aiming. So
wasn't it pretty cool to see the video though, and watch that bullet flying through the air?
Yeah, I want to watch that video every day. That's I tell people about it, like, no way that happened. I'm dead serious. It happened. You could see that bullet leave the barrel and watch it hit right in front of that bear, and
no, it made for good footage. And it made for us not having to look so hard for blood and hair, because we knew it was a done deal, over with. Because I mean, I looked. We all looked for blood and hair, and I went 200-300 yards ahead of you guys, looking up and down the hillside, and when we were looking at the video. You're smart enough to review the footage and see what had actually taken place. Swing and a miss, he says. You know what I'm drinking right now, Big Davey? What's that? You know what I'm drinking right now during this podcast? If I had to guess, it would be a sparkling water of sorts. Oh no, it's the UCC coffee, fresh from Japan. Our friends across the ocean here. Make the
Yeah.
best cold coffee ever in a steel can, nonetheless.
Steel can't. It won't melt in the fire.
No, it won't melt in the fire. Dave introduced them to me on this trip, and I am addicted. Not sure where I'm going to get them after I'm out of my next 5 that I've got left,
That's
but
it, huh?
appreciate that. I mean, that's going to
I'll
be
I'll get
fun to
some.
go through withdrawals on this UCC coffee. You can only get it in
Yeah,
Japan, I guess.
they're too expensive to buy online. You can buy them on Amazon, but they're smaller cans and they're more expensive. So I'll get some.
But anyways, I thought you'd like that.
I do like that.
So
I'm happy to push light because I like that
yeah,
as
that's
well.
good. After a hard day,
It was a
nothing
rough
like
day.
it. So what do you think? What did you think about the heart deal? I mean,
I
you've been with it since the beginning, since the inception, when kind of came up with
um
it. I'm not even
pretty
sure when, but
yeah. At first, like when we first started talking about it, I was very skeptical, thinking like, hey, you can't just go out and you know pull a trigger at anything you see, without uh some sort of repercussion, I guess is the word. But I don't know if that's right. Uh,
well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of you wonder
uh,
about those things. You wonder how it's going to go down, and
yeah, after
the
seeing,
idea was good, but of course we had to test it out and stuff. But
man, you see it and you're doing the whole hunt. It's not, there's no slack work involved. I mean, you're out there doing the hikes, probably more hikes, and
yeah, you got to get closer. I couldn't wing one out there at 400 yards or anything like that because the video is not going to show up. So you got
yeah,
to get closer. Yeah,
yeah. I
like you
mean, you
say.
definitely put in the legwork, and the neat thing about the heart, which I really appreciate, is you can get back into places that you normally would never go on just an evening hunt, and you get back in there 8-9 miles on an evening hike, and if you see your bear, you make the shot. You're excited as hell all the way out, and you talk about it the rest of the trip like it's that awesome. You know, you're not packing anything out. You're just successful. You had a great hunt. Everything is there. There's nothing missing.
No, it's
So
100%. It's 100% the same. Up to the point where nothing comes out of the end of the gun. It's 100% the same. And I tell you what I learned, and I don't know if we had talked about this. Well, I think we did, but what I learned, I thought we were going to go on these hunts and we were going to see elk and we'd heart them and whatever. But it's just like a real hunt to where if I'm hunting a bear, I don't want to heart anything else because it's going to wreck my bear hunt, right? The
yeah,
noise could wreck my bear hunt. It's just like when you see a coyote or something, you're on the trail of a big muley buck or something. You see a coyote, well, you let the coyote go because you don't want to wreck your hunt. It was the exact same thing. I
yeah,
didn't heart anything else because I was worried it was going to wreck my hunt. What did you think? I mean, that was kind
yeah,
of interesting to learn on this deal.
yeah. It was kind of crazy because I was trying to talk you into some other stuff, and when you said, you're like, man, I don't know, it's gonna wreck our bear hunt. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're still bear hunting. It was I don't know. I like the whole concept of it, and everything about it really. I did miss my bear, but in a way, I kind of did heart it, not on purpose, but I had all the feelings like I hit that bear.
It's
So
it's it's the same, right? But
yeah,
and uh, and we were able to continue hunting again. And look, if we want to, at the end of the day, full harvest something, we can do it, right?
yeah, and that
It-
that that ticket's never off the table.
right.
So
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
the cool thing about it. If you set out on a heart hunt, because we're not doing anything without a tag, so um, you set out to do it, and if you decide, hey, you know what, that's one I want for the wall,
yeah,
the option's still yours. So
that's right.
that's That's pretty awesome.
No, and like we found out, there's going to be a pretty nice cinnamon bear within, I don't know, 5-6 years, right? Running around
That
out
is
there.
way awesome. How cool is that though too? We're talking about that is like how many times have you ever pulled the trigger and got to watch what happens after that?
No, I think the backside of these heart hunts is what's the most amazing, because there's a feeling that you've never felt before because you've never been on the backside of it. An animal running off has always been a disappointment, right? Because it means you missed.
Yeah.
But the backside of a heart, an animal running off or an animal moving off. Hey, that's another thing. How many of these things have run away? Like none of them.
Yeah.
You heart them and they just stand there. So I mean, it's kind of a neat deal.
Yeah, I don't know. It gives you a whole different respect for this hunting method. I love it.
I think it makes you better too. I think it just makes you a better hunter, to where when you're ready to go full harvest, you're going to be so good that there probably aren't going to be too many misses. Had you been hearting before that, I believe you'd have been a little settled down and able to take the deep breath and make the shot.
Yeah, I don't know. I was so excited.
It makes you want to hunt some more, don't it?
Oh man.
Oh, you got a heart. You got a heart to hunt, man. I love it. It's I'm so excited just to get back out and stuff and keep doing this, and hopefully a few more hunts with you. And
a few.
So what's next, Dave? What do you want to do next? Where do you want to go?
Oh, I don't even know.
I think we got some elk hunting in the future, don't we?
Hey, I have yeah, we always have elk hunting. I have an idea though, kind of mix things up a little bit. So I should draw my antelope archery, and I'm thinking about heart archery and antelope.
Hey, heart archery from a blind over a water hole. How about that?
Yeah.
That's a good idea, man. That's a great idea. Holy cow.
Yeah, so I've been pondering this actually kind of all week, and I want to do it. I think it'd be epic, and I don't know, pretty exciting.
All right. Where we North Montana? Is that where you're drawing?
Well, it should be that 900 tag, so I think it's good for anywhere.
Oh, there we go.
So,
now I'm excited. Oh, right? What an idea. I mean, anybody can go elk hunting, but who can heart archery an antelope? Okay, it's happening.
Okay.
The legend and I are going to go heart some antelope. Oh, I heart Montana.
Oh, I do too. I do too.
All right, bud.
So much. All right, brother.
Well, I guess we'll just go back to work, and we got something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Always something to look forward to.
Okay, till we meet again. Take care of your neighbor, and always heart the hunt. To be the first to buy around. We ain't here for a long time, just a good time. Momentary footprints in the sand. We ain't here for a long time, just a good time. Just well get out of the stand. Just get on up and get out of the stand.